Habari Jioni, Jina langu ni Lea Thornton. In 2019, I was fortunate enough to travel to Bomolongombe, Tanzania, to visit our friends and partners, Prince of Peace. While we were there, we were treated to so many delicious dishes. One of those dishes is what I'm hoping to make for you tonight. We had the opportunity to cook with the women of the village, making chapati, and now I'm hoping to bring it to you. Since we can't gather together for our annual Tanzania dinner in person this year, I'm hoping that this recipe will be something you can make at home. It's not something we've traditionally eaten at the Tanzania dinner, but it is a quick and easy recipe for families to share. The first step is to crack a couple eggs. Hope I don't get any shells in them. Sounds good. And then I'm going to pour in a cup of milk and whisk it together with the eggs. And this recipe came from Swahili Mom Kitchen, which is a blog that has a lot of great Tanzanian recipes. If anyone wanted to check it out. I'm going to break out my yolks here. Okay, and then while that's sitting for a minute, I'm using ghee. You can use a teaspoon of canola oil, vegetable oil, really any kind of oil that you want. Or you can even spray the pan with Pam if you don't want so much heavy oil. But I like ghee because it has a little bit of nice flavor to it. It's clarified butter. Okay, and let that heat up nicely. And then go back to my mix. I've got, it's 1/3 cup of sugar in the recipe. I actually reduced it down to 1/4 cup when I was making it to try out the recipe. It seemed just a little bit sweet to me compared to what we ate in Bomolongombe, but you can always add more sugar if you want. And then I'm gonna put in a teaspoon of salt. Just kind of sprinkle that in. And then you're slowly gonna whisk in your flour, trying to avoid lumps. And it's a cup of flour that I'm putting in here. And this is regular wheat flour, which is what they used over there when we made it. If you wanted to make this as a gluten-free recipe, I think you could substitute something like coconut flour or maybe even corn flour. It might get a little bit different consistency though. And then you can see it's coming together, but it's pretty thick. What I want to do next is just add water to thin it out. We want it to be about the consistency of a crepe. And that's kind of what these are. If you look online, you might have trouble finding this particular type of chapati. A lot of times you'll find recipes for Indian chapati, which is a little more like a bread dough, like a naan kind of recipe. This is a little thinner, so more of like a pancake recipe or crepe or even lefse, I guess, if that's a reference that makes sense to you. So I'm just gonna add water to thin it out to get to the desired consistency. The recipe on the Swahili Mom blog says start with 1/2 cup and then add as you need it. A little bit more here. Should be good. See how it's nice and thin like that. We should be about ready to go here. Now I'm just gonna start by making a plain chapati, but what you can do, and what we did when we made them over there, was add like shredded carrots or some chopped onions or green peppers, really anything that you want to kind of add to the batter. Okay, now that I've got it ready to go here, I'm just going to pour it in. You want to pour it in just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, and then you're going to swirl it around so it really kind of spreads out nice and thin. Okay, and then you're going to let it cook for about a minute on each side. Now I'm cooking this in my kitchen at home, but if we were in Bomolongombe, the kitchen would actually be a shed behind the main house. The reason for that is most of the cooking is done over a wood fire, and so it'd be pretty smoky to have inside the house. Okay, it's looking about done here on this side. So what I'm gonna do is lift up the edges here just a bit. And then see, there's 2 ways I can flip it like a pancake, with the spatula, or if I'm confident in my skills, which I'm not, I can try and flip it the way that they showed us, which is to get it going here, and then, oh, pretty close, not bad. I'll take it. I'm gonna try and get that edge out. I want it to fold it up at the end, but not before it's had a chance to cook on both sides here. There we go. Okay, see how it's all nice and brown on the top? That's kind of what you want both sides to look like. Now I'm cheating a little bit. I'm using a non-stick pan, so maybe it was a little easier to flip than it would be if we were actually doing it in the long way. Okay, now that we've given it about a minute on this side, looks to be about done. Yeah, so we're gonna move it. There you have it. Chapati. Now that we have a plain one done, we're gonna try a savory one, add some vegetables. Same thing, make sure your pan is nice and hot and you've got your oil in there. And then as you're pouring it in, you're gonna add, I'm throwing some carrots here, a little bit of onion, green pepper, and the same thing, kind of swirl it around a little bit. Okay, I think it's about done on this side here. I'm gonna do it with the spatula this time. On this side. Now one thing you could do, which I didn't, is actually saute your vegetables and soften them up a bit ahead of time, in case you didn't want them quite as crunchy. We're gonna add it to our pan. Now we have a savory crepe too. Chapati is a Maji. Let's eat. Karabuni.
Chocolate.